Many people, including myself, have been waiting for a new Rupture identity to be added to Limbus company for a while now. And finally we got something. Kind of. You see, the new Devyat Association North Section 3 identity for Rodion is classified as a Rupture identity. However, in reality, she's much more than just Rupture. And in fact, many could argue that she's better off without using Rupture at all. Today, I want to delve into the abilities of the newest identity added to Limbus company and figure out if she is really a Rupture identity or not. We'll start off by looking at her skills, then her passives, and then we'll take a look at her in the Rupture team and outside of it. That is to say that even though we're going over her skills first, you should stick around until the end to see if she's good in Rupture, bad in Rupture, or just ahead of her time. We'll start at the beginning, with Rodia's skill 1. And already here's the reason why I call her a non-Rupture identity. The skill gains coin power for not only Rupture on target, but also for Courier Trunk on Rodia. Before we go any further, let me quickly explain what this new effect is. In short, Courier Trunk behaves kind of similar to Charge, but not really. You gain 3 stacks every turn and you never lose it. Rodia's first and second skills allow you to gain more stacks of Courier Trunk, with even more gain when she has less than 15 stacks of the effect. After reaching 10 and 20 stacks, Rodia gets more buffs. However, once she hits 13, she starts to rapidly lose HP and SP every turn and every skill use, meaning that you have to switch out. More on that later. This means that the two options for gaining buffs to Rodion's abilities are a self-generating charge and the least consistent effect in the game. The choice here is pretty obvious. Moving on, we have the second interesting effect of her skills. This one is also present in every single one of Rodia's abilities, and what this effect does is allow its user to not consume any Rupture count on hit with the coins of the skill, as long as the enemy has both 15 Rupture potency and 3 Rupture count. On paper, an ability like this is exactly what Rupture needed. However, there is a glaring problem. The effect requires the enemy to have both 15 potency and 3 count, which is actually pretty difficult to achieve with Rupture. And before I get bombarded with people telling me how to increase Rupture infliction, I know about Talisman, ADD, Rambling Man and Ebony Stem passive. But there's a key issue with them in regards to synergy with Rodia. They all take time to set up. This is a problem, because as I've said before, Rodia has no way to stop getting Courier Trunk, and it will kill her eventually. Now, this isn't a problem in content with resource carryover, aka Mirror Dungeons and Refraction Railway, but if we're being honest with ourselves here, Mirror Dungeons are just really easy to beat in general, and the gifts that you get pretty much play the game for you. In Refraction Railways, you probably won't even make past the first enemy without losing half your squad, because other Rupture identities are just so weak. But I have to give credit where credit is due. When you get to that stack in one way or another, Rodia becomes fully count neutral, meaning she can dish out huge damage for free, and you don't have to think about her even for a second. Well, until she starts dying, that is. And finally, we get to talk about her coins. The first one gains Courier Trunk, and another stack if Rodia is under 15 stacks. The second coin inflicts 3 Rupture potency, but it loses the effect if the unusability of the skill has been activated. This does not harm Rodion, however, as you effectively inflict 2 count instead, which is infinitely more valuable. Rodia's second skill is Gadget Reveal, and it has the exact same conditional and on-use effect as her skill 1. However, it also deals more damage for every Courier Trunk on Rodia. Once again, Rupture is not present in this effect. Keep that in mind. Her first coin gives her 1 Courier Trunk, it gives 2 more if Rodia is under 15 stacks. On heads hit with the second coin, Rodia gains 1 haste, and then 1 more if she's at 15 trunk stacks or more. The third coin of the skill inflicts defense level down for every 5 trunk stacks or for every 5 Rupture on the enemy. This is the first and last ability in Rodia's kit that can't just feed off of Courier Trunk. The defense level down caps at 6, meaning that with just Courier Trunk you will have to start dying to inflict all 6 stacks. Still, the difference between 4 stacks of defense level down and 6 stacks isn't that great, so you're not required to use Rupture for this effect to bear fruit. Lastly, the third skin of Devyat Rodion's kit has the exact same conditionals and on-use effect as her skill 2, but the damage from Courier Trunk is doubled, now going up to 80%. The second coin of the skill inflicts 3 to 5 Rupture count on hit, depending on Courier Trunk, which is huge for Rupture, as it ends up being up to plus 4 count from this skill alone. The third coin deals more damage if Rodya has 15 Trunk stacks, and she gets haste on kill or stagger with it. The thing with her third skill is that while it would inflict plus 2 count hitting into a large stack of Rupture, it doesn't because of that funny little on-use effect. Early into the fight, if you have Rodya's skill 3 available, you are going to go neutral with it, as the plus 3 count only covers the amount of coins this skill has. If you use her skill 3 late, you will likely have enough Trunk stacks to go positive in count, but also during your turns of Courier Trunk stacking, if you played Rupture correctly, you will likely find yourself at a decent amount of count already. If you've used Talisman, the Rupture potency on the enemy will already be high as well, meaning that the on-use effect of Rodya's skill 3 will take away the count infliction, leaving you neutral once again. So, is it just badly designed? Well, no. As a compensation for losing your count infliction, you get to reroll Rodya's last coin. Considering the huge amounts of damage buffs that coin specifically has, as well as the fact that it will roll up to 29, this is a sizable damage increase. More importantly, this is yet another Rupture proc that does not use up count, meaning that you're effectively trading 1 count for 1 coin's worth of damage, and that's a fantastic trade to make. For her defense skill, Rodya gets a counter which also gives shield, which is powerful in its own right, but we're here mostly for the alternative defensive skill. Remember when I mentioned reaching out before you die from Courier Trunk? Devyat Rodion's second defense skill, just a strategic time-off, is the only way to do that. By using her counter at 15 Courier Trunk or more, this skill is activated, and at the end of the turn, Rodya straight up leaves the fight. In chain fights, this allows you to switch someone in without suffering any death penalties, and if Rodya gets to come back, she does that with half of your Courier Trunk value, meaning she can live again. This opens up a whole new avenue of strategies for chain encounters, that I'm sure will be further built on in the upcoming season. The best I can come up with for now is using Rodya to deal with a slash weak enemy at the start of an encounter, and then switching out for an identity that suits the rest of the team better, or simply deals a different type of damage. For her passive, Devyat Rodion gets the ability to self-inflict shield when she's at 6+ speed. She also gives 1 clash power to 2 allies when retreating, for up to 3 turns. This isn't anything crazy useful, but at least this passive allows the substituted identity to sometimes win clashes with the clash power up. Now it's time to put Rodya on a team. If we take the usual core of 7 Faust, 7 Heathcliff, Lantern Dawn and Talisman Sinclair, we're left with 2 slots. If we want to run Rodya, we will have to choose between Yisang and Gregor to add to our team, and Gregor is usually better due to the power of AEDD. In a team like this, assuming that we get 5 Talisman on the enemy in 2 turns, the main problem is count. This problem is not helped by Rodya at all, as she's at best neutral and at worst can go -3 with her second skill. Until you get to a 15-3 stack, Rodya actively harms your Rupture, and once you get there, she starts contributing nothing. For the purpose of keeping a Rupture stack alive, Devyat Rodion is a very bad identity. Now let's take a look at her outside of Rupture. Remember when I told you to keep her conditionals in mind? Well, if you did, you remember that she does not need Rupture to fulfill them at all. With exactly 0 Rupture on the enemy, Rodya is still able to clash at 16 power with her skill 1, which is frankly absurd. She can also clash at 23 power with her skill 2, while also dealing 40% more damage with the exact same skill, and inflicting up to 5 defense level down to further increase her team's damage. She can also do the same thing with her third skill, but with 1 more power, 80% more damage instead of 40, and a further damage increase for her last coin. If you still haven't realized, let me spell it out for you. Her physical stats are busted. Devyat Rodion is a great generalist unit going off of purely her stats. And on top of all this, she's mono slash. This makes her niche very straightforward. You want to use her to rush down any slash weak enemies early into an encounter. Funnily enough, for chain battles, she literally is the perfect unit for this job, because as soon as you get rid of that enemy, Rodion straight up switches out, and you get your normal 6th slot for your team. For the last point of the video, I want to touch on the fact that Rodion is kind of ahead of her time. You see, my main problem with her in Rupture is that she's actively detrimental to the stack in the early turns, and once you get the stack going, she just doesn't contribute. As we get more identities with the retreat gimmick, as well as just better Rupture identities, I can see Rodion becoming really good in Rupture. If we get a decent Rupture inflictor that can also switch out, the meta for Rodion will be letting that identity take care of the early turns. And as soon as the stack is high enough, she will be switched in to deal enormous damage, while not harming the stack. This also requires the rest of the Rupture team to get a lot stronger. If we get another way to inflict Spark Discharge, as well as more tools with the ability to take advantage of Dimension Rift, or just more identities that can go positive in count while not rolling obscenely low, Rodion's inability to contribute to a Rupture stack will be a lot more forgivable, making her a good damage dealer in Rupture once again. For now, Devyat Association North Section 3 Rodion is not that great in Rupture. However, she still remains a top 2 Rodion identity, behind only Diechi, due to her fantastic damage output that doesn't rely on anything but Choreo Trunk. Thank you so much for watching, and if you disagree or have something to add, feel free to leave a comment below. This will help clear up any misconceptions in the video or add more context, which is highly appreciated. If you found yourself enjoying the video at any point, leave a like and consider subscribing. This was Ultranom, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye!